Building a system in Simumatik is very easy. As soon as you understand the basic concepts, like how to add components, group them, and connect them, it becomes a quite natural process. As we usually say, if you can build it in reality, you can build it in Simumatik. So in this video, we are gonna show you the basic concepts to build a system. Welcome to the Simumatik channel. My name is Mikel. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, give us a like and write us some comments if you want us to create content like this or you have ideas for new videos. So we have logged into the platform. I select my private profile and I will jump into the local workspace. And now, as you see, this is just a free workspace. We don't have anything loaded, and we are gonna start creating our first system. So we click in the create button and we give it a name. Once we click OK, the system will be created in the cloud and actually loaded here to the workspace. You will see that the system will also appear now under your systems when you browse the systems in the system browser. So at any time, if you want to save your progress, don't forget to upload, and it will pop up this item, this window, and you can click on yes to upload the changes. And we are gonna create a quite basic system just to show you the basic features. So we are gonna start by clicking here and adding an assembly. An assembly is just a way to group components that somehow have a function together. So we are gonna start adding a little conveyor with its motor, a button to control it, and a power supply. So we are gonna call this assembly conveyor. And just click enter. So now we have an element here in our system tree which we can move around. Okay, the element or the assembly is empty, so we just move its center and we can start adding different components to this assembly. So we are gonna click add component, and then let's use just some public components in the public repository. So let's start with the electric library. We are gonna search for a power supply. We are gonna take this ideal power supply. This is just kind of a battery for us. You can read the description here. Just click on load, give it a name. Let's call it power supply, and you will see how it is downloaded and added to the assembly. So now when we move the assembly, this power supply will follow it. Let's add a conveyor as well. Let's go to the conveyors, and there is a little conveyor here that we are gonna use. Let's call it mini conveyor, that's okay. And you see now, if we zoom, that both elements are now centered around the assembly. So let's move a little bit away this power supply so it's not on top of the conveyor. Put it here, and now we can move again both elements together if we select the conveyor. So we will need to add a button. Let's go back to the electric library and search for a push button. Let's take a normally open one. This black one will do the trick, and we can just call it push button. Again, we can just move it a little bit away, and we will leave it here close to the power supply. Let's rotate it to just 90 degrees. So we have the power supply, a button, and we will need a motor to fit to move this conveyor forward. Let's add another electric component, search for the DC motor. we have here now 1. So that's okay. And again, we just move it to a nice position here. And 90 degrees. So now we have the basic elements to make this conveyor move forward when we press the button, but we need to make some connections. So how we actually connect the power supply to the button, the motor, and the conveyor. So we do that using this part of the panel. So when we select each of the components, we will see that they have some ports, and we recommend to check their symbols so you can actually understand which is each of the ports. And then using this information you can make the connection. So basically now we need to take the power supply, which has 2 outputs, of course, 24 volts in DCP and 0 volts in DCN. So we are going to connect DCP port to the button X1, and now we can connect this X2 port to the DC motor, so we can actually power up the motor when we press the button. And we are going to connect X2, which is the other port of the motor, to the power supply 0. So now when we press the button and while we are running the emulation, we will get 24 volts between X1 and X2. And now what we need to do is this output port axis, which is actually the one rotating, we are going to connect it to the conveyor. So we are going to go to the conveyor, which just has 1 input port, and we are going to connect it to the motor output. So now in this case, with this variable in the conveyor, we can actually adjust the relation between the rotational speed and the linear speed on the conveyor. So just to try that, we will probably need to put something on the conveyor to see that it's actually moving. So let's add another component, go to the product, and add this beverage can. So let's add it. And this component, if we put it here in the middle, you see, has some physics properties, and when we click on play, it will just land on the conveyor. And now when we press the button, you see that the conveyor is moving. Nice. If we want to change the direction of the conveyor, we can just easily rotate it 24 degrees, 90 degrees, sorry, not in this axis, but in this instead, 180 degrees, sorry. And now it should go the other way. Or we can also change the relation. So we will put or set a negative value here. We can change the direction in the other side, to the other side. So now we have this up and running. We have created 1 assembly, and let's add another assembly to the system. We are going to add some pneumatic components. So we are going to call this pneumatics. And here we are going to start adding a compressor here. And you see now that the compressor is on the center of the assembly. Again, the assembly has been created on the center of the scene, and we can move it wherever we want. Let's add a pneumatic cylinder. See, we are gonna take a single acting cylinder, so search here with this big one, just call it cylinder. move it a little bit above the compressor and just add a very simple 3-tube valve, this one, which we are gonna set between the compressor and the cylinder, so we can decide when we want to expand the cylinder. So just add it, we call it just valve. So now we have the valve here. Let's mount it on top of the cylinder. We are gonna rotate it 90 degrees. Nice there. Well, so now we are gonna make some connections, and again we have a valve in which we have some ports. So we are gonna connect the compressor to P1 and then just connect the cylinder, single acting cylinder, to P2. So let's click OK here, select the pneumatics assembly, the compressor and the output port for the P1, and then we go to the cylinder and just select pneumatics valve P2. So now if we click play, we should be able to expand this cylinder, and when we release the button it retracts. So the idea now is to just add the last few components here and put everything together. So we are gonna create another assembly. We are gonna call it station, for example, and in here we are gonna add just a workbench that I know we have here, work table, and we are gonna move this a little bit and rotate it 90 degrees. Nice. And we are gonna add another component, which is gonna be product plastic box here. Nice, so you will see what will happen soon. So let's rotate this one as well. Rotate it just 90 degrees here. Again, 0 here and 0 here. Nicely there. We can click play and see what happens. Yes, everything is in place. So now let's move these assemblies so they work good together. This one maybe we need to back a little bit, and now we take this one and we place it on top of the table like that is okay. And now let's just adjust a little bit this so the conveyor is aligned with our cylinder. So now if we click on play, you will see this conveyor can move forward when we press the button, and if we click on the green one, we can push the beverage can back. At this point, what we did is that we add this product directly into an assembly, but instead of doing that, we can add components automatically and using an interval, using another element in the system which is called the product entry. So basically this element, when we add it to a system, it will look like this blue cone. We can place it where we want to introduce our product. Now we can remove this, and what we are gonna make now is that we are gonna select which items, which products we want to drop here. So we are gonna go back to the products and select exactly the same element, and we are gonna leave the default value. So we are gonna tell that we are gonna add the beverage cans every 2 seconds, and a max of 10 products. So we can actually add more elements here, and then we can select if we want to drop them randomly or in a sequence. And now when we press the play button, the products, the beverage cans, will be dropped here, and this is what will happen if we don't turn on the conveyor, so they will fall around. So let's reset this and click play, but now we are gonna start the conveyor, so the beverage cans will be packed at the front of this conveyor. And now we can at any time press the green button, and we see how we can push the beverage cans back, and we can actually drop them on that blue plastic box. So we have seen how it is quite convenient to group the components into assemblies, so you can actually move them around and adjust them together when they actually make or create a function together. We have done some connections, electrical connections in this case, and pneumatic connections in this case. And we have actually also introduced a product entry to automatically introduce products into our system. And this is just a showcase to illustrate how easy it is to create something that actually moves and works pretty well in Simumatik. Once you are finished with the system, you don't forget to click on upload, so you save your changes. You can even click on the capture button here, so you can take a thumbnail, so it will be shown when you browse your system. So you see here, now we have a thumbnail there. As you have seen, creating a system in Simumatik is an easy process. Once you have your idea in your head or you have a draft, it's all about creating a nice library using public components or your own ones, and then putting them together. If you like this video and you want us to create more videos showing the Simumatik features, write some comment below, and also don't forget to ask any questions or give us any suggestion for new content. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.